Hey everyone, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Unplayable Podcast. There's some big news coming out of the KFC Big Bash League, and so we wanted to cap it off straight away. Josh Schonafinger here, joined by the Unplayable Podcast's resident Big Bash expert, Jack Paynter. Jack, tell us, what's the big news coming out of Bashland at the minute?
Well, Josh, thanks for having me on at short notice, but huge news coming out of the Big Bash tonight. Ravichandran Ashwin, he's coming to the Big Bash in BBL 15. He's signed for the Sydney Thunder. Huge coup for them and for the league. He's coming in January. He's available for at least 3 games at this stage, the last 3 games of the Sydney Thunder's home and away season, plus finals if they qualify. So we know they went deep into finals last year, finished runners up there. So he's coming. He's retired from international cricket, IPL cricket, and one of his first stops on the T20 circuit is the Big Bash.
Okay, so this is pretty big news. He will be the first Indian men's player who's been capped internationally to feature in the Big Bash League. How has that come about? Because traditionally, Indian players can't play outside the IPL. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So the BCCI holds a pretty tight ship over their domestic and internationally contracted players. Anyone who's a current Indian player isn't really allowed to play in other franchise T20 leagues. So how this has come about is, we saw last year during the Border Gavaskar Trophy Series that Ashwin retired after the 3rd test, quite abruptly actually, but he retired from international cricket then. And then just last month, actually, he announced he'd retired from Indian Premier League cricket. So he's playing with the Chennai Super Kings. They were his original team many years ago, 16 seasons ago, and he came back to them and played in 2025. But he announced last month that he was hanging up the bats, so to speak, in the IPL, which has then freed him up to play in other leagues around the world. So the BCCI only permits retired Indian players to go and play in other T20 leagues, I guess, to sort of keep the sanctity of the IPL and that kind of thing. So it's a huge news. There's not too many that have played in other leagues around the world. Dinesh Karthik was one who played in the South African T20 League last summer, but he had also retired from Indian Premier League cricket. So pretty rare to see this, and definitely a huge move for the BBL.
Yeah, and definitely someone of the caliber of Ashwin. I mean, he's going to bring a lot of fans with him, no doubt. How has the Thunder ended up with him, Jack? Because we all saw the draft a couple of months ago. All the teams had selected their 3 international players. So how do the Thunder get a 4th?
Yeah, so Josh, it's a bit complex, but kind of not complex at the same time. Usually to be signed as a player sort of after the draft, you have to have nominated for the draft and be signed as sort of an overseas replacement and replacing, another overseas who's going away for international duties or that kind of thing. But, there is a clause for special consideration. And because, Ashwin hadn't retired up until recently, he wasn't technically available for the BBL season, so couldn't enter the draft. But all that changed last month when he announced his retirement, and basically he's become available. The league reached out to him to see if he was interested, which he was. Sort of through a few contacts, Trent Woodhill was instrumental in setting that up. And also I hear Bharat Sundaresan is quite close with Ashwin, and he helped get the deal over the line. So once he was interested in playing in the BBL, the league sent out a memo to all clubs. All 8 clubs had a chance to enter negotiations with him, and the Thunder must have had the best pitch and were able to get him over the line.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, we had Chris Green on this podcast a month or 2 ago, and he was talking about just how many spinners they've got and how they really want to capitalize on that. So certainly that aspect of the showgrounds where they play their home matches. And now they bring in somebody like Ashwin for the final 3 games to partner Green, Tanveer Sangha, and potentially Shadab Khan from Pakistan as well. So lots of spin there at the minute. How does Ashwin actually fit into that 11?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? They've already got 4 spinners there, as you mentioned. Chris Green, Tanveer Sangha, Shadab Khan's available for the whole season, and also Tom Andrews. So we did see last year that the Showgrounds wicket took a lot of spin. We spoke with Trent Copeland ahead of the signing announcement, and he sort of said the wicket won't be it'll be better for batting this season, but they still want to use that spin advantage. But yeah, where does he fit? That's the big question. And I guess if you look at his international career, specifically sort of in Test cricket, is he batted, 8, 7, 8. So he's quite handy with the bat, and that was the pitch that Copeland was making. That don't look at it as we've got 4 spinners, potentially 5 with Ashwin there. Look at it as if we've got 6 or 7 all-rounders and we can bat really deep. So, he sort of flagged that Ashwin had batted 3 in IPL cricket before, which he has on 4 occasions. He's batted sort of through the middle order as well. So, but most of his runs have come sort of down the order at number 8, number 7. But he has batted higher, and I think that's the how the Thunder are positioning it is they've got another high-quality, world-class all-rounder that they can throw into their side.
Gee, some nice stats there from you, Jack. I think 6 Test hundreds for Ashwin, so some strong numbers. And we know Shoaib Khan has batted as high as number 4 and number 5 for Pakistan national team as well. So, yeah, they do have lots of flexibility with those guys, I suppose. But with 3 internationals now becoming 4, I believe you can only play 3 at a time. Isn't that right, Jack? So when Ashwin becomes available, one of those 4 are going to have to sit out.
Yeah, that's right. So they've got Shoaib Khan, as you mentioned, and also Lockie Ferguson will be available for that time. He's someone who's playing the UAE T20 League, but will be available for the back end of the Big Bash with the UAE League moving forward into December this year. And then they've also got Sam Billings for the whole season. So that's 4, that's pretty good, 4 pretty good overseas players there. And how do you fit the 4 into 3, I guess, is the big question. So whether, they go spin heavy, in those games, they've got one of those games that he's available for, and potentially he could be available for more depending on his prior commitments in January. But he'll definitely be available to face the Brisbane Heat at the Gabba. So that's obviously good fast bowling wicket, so you can't really see Lockie Ferguson missing that game. Then they play the Renegades at the Sydney Showgrounds, and then they play, this is the big one actually that he's available for, the Sydney Smash against the Sixers at the SCG, where he could come up against Steve Smith and Babar Azam, who has signed for the Sixers, as we know.
Yeah, there's some big names there. You imagine Sam Billings would probably be a lock throughout the season, at least that's from my vantage point. But yeah, maybe it's those bowlers / all-rounders that sort of get juggled around a bit there. So, Jack, it does beg the question, who is the biggest international signing that we've seen in the men's Big Bash to date? He'd have to be right up there.
He would be, and I think not just on field. We're forgetting he's still a world-class player, but he is 39 years old, so he will be one of the oldest to have played in the Big Bash as well. But yeah, in terms of impact and just the gravity of signing, the first Indian men's capped player to play in the Big Bash, I think he's almost number 1. I'll throw a few more names at you. We've got AB de Villiers, who played for the Heat a while back. Jacques Callis played for the Thunder. Kevin Peterson, he was around in the early stages of the competition. Yeah. He was a big name. And I'd also put Shane Warne in there as one of the biggest signings the Big Bash has ever had back in the inaugural years for the Melbourne Stars. There's a few that I could throw at you. What about you, Josh? Have you got any that spring to mind?
Well, I reckon in terms of impact, Lasith Malinga would have to be up there for the Stars.
Yeah.
He was outstanding in those early seasons, and so was Brendan McCullum when he teamed up with Chris Lynn. You had to turn on the TV when those two were going at it, so I'd probably have those two right up there. And then, of course, we can't forget Babar Azam as well, coming in for his first season with the Sixers. So it could be, we always say that the strength of the Big Bash is largely based on the strength of the international players, and if we've got the Aussie internationals and some really quality foreign internationals as well, it's going to be a good season.
Yeah, that's right. It's incredible to think, a few years ago there was a lot of talk around, the Big Bash and, attracting these star international players. Coming off COVID, it was quite hard for the Big Bash to attract, these, top tier names. And fast forward a few years and you've got, as you mentioned, Babar Azam, Shaheen Shah Afridi's coming this year, Mohammad Rizwan, and then now we've got Ravichandran Ashwin, and it's going to put a lot of bums on seats, whether it's at the ground or in front of the tally. So it's good news for Australian cricket, but also for the likes of the Thunder spinners that we mentioned before, Tanveer Sangha, Chris Green, Tom Andrews. Those guys are going to learn a heap off just having the presence of someone like Ashwin around the group. Trent Copeland was saying that one of the things that stuck out to him when he was speaking with Ashwin and trying to get him on board for this season was that, he mentioned, Sam Billings straight off the bat and said, I love what he did with Thunder last season, and that he wanted to leave a positive impact on Tanvir, Sanger, and Chris Green, during his 3 games there, potentially more. And so Copeland was saying, he'd done his research. He's a fan of the Big Bash. He's followed it. So, it made perfect sense for them to get him on board, even though, as we've discussed, we've got 4 spinners already. So,
well, we know that he's always been a very well-researched man. He's got his own cricket YouTube channel as well, I think. I'm not sure if it's still active, but he's certainly been posting there in the past. So maybe we'll see some live blogs, some live vlogs from the game.
Ashwin Cam following around the BBL, I reckon.
Absolutely, get him on the mic as well. Jack, I think that's a great update, mate. Ashwin to the Thunder. So exciting stuff. Question without notice to finish. The Thunder, can they go one better and win the title this season?
Certainly. I think they definitely can. They've got the squad to do it. If you had Ashwin in there for finals as well, who knows what they could do. So a lot of good teams this year, though. The Hurricanes are strong again. The Heat look good. Sixers look good with their recruiting. Can't write the Scorchers off. Could mention them all here. So, it's going to be an exciting competition, especially with those names available towards the back end as well. Because if you look at the Sixers last year, they lost a lot of their international players sort of ahead of the finals, but they've recruited well this season. They've kept them. So, and you'll see the Australian players as well at the end of the Ashes hopefully filter back into the competition. So, it's all to play for in BBL 15.
All right, thank you, mate. Good update from you, and we'll touch base with you again very soon.